Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Erik Johansson, teacher with LSAT Demon. With me is Nathan Fox, one of the founders of LSATdemon.com and the weekly podcast Thinking LSAT. Today, an email from Isaac.
Isaac says, "Hi, LSAT Demon. Thank you for the podcast. It's been a great resource for my law school journey so far. My question relates to my admission stats and how I should approach the admissions process. For context, undergraduate GPA graduated in 2021 with a 3.21 in education. Does not count classes that I took at community college / transient courses at another university to complete my undergraduate degree. Those grades were 1D, 1B, and 3 Cs, which means to me that your GPA is actually lower than a 3.2. LSAC is going to count those when you sign up for the Credential Assembly Service and you upload all of your transcripts. They are going to say those were college classes that you took before you graduated with your first bachelor's degree. Therefore, they count.
Yeah, a C average is what, a 2.0?
C average is a 2.0.
So those are going to pull
that's
down
5.
your GPA.
That's like a full semester worth of grades that at a 2.0. Yeah, my guess is your GPA is going to be more like a 3.0.
Yeah.
Anyway, LSAT diagnostic of a 147, aiming to get a 169 or higher. University of Texas or SMU would be the dream school, but I am cognizant of my splitter position. If you do the LSAT work, you're going to be a splitter. I agree. 147 is a great starting diagnostic. We see people get into the 160s easily and frequently into the 170s even with a score as high as 147 diagnostic. So yeah, I think you can put yourself pretty comfortably into the splitter category. Also, the fact that you're going to be a 3.05 instead of a 3.21 UGPA doesn't really make any difference because 3.2 already is low. 3.2 sucks in law school admissions. So 3.05 is not really that much worse. It's just, your application is going to turn on that LSAT score.
Yeah.
Okay. Next bullet point says, signed up for the November and January LSAT tests. Waiting to see how I do to decide which cycle I apply into. Okay, I have thoughts about that. Erik does too. He's already frowning. Is that a frown? It was a grumble.
Maybe a grimace. I don't know. Yeah. If you're taking the test in November and January, you're doing yourself a disservice if you try to apply this cycle.
Don't even consider it.
Yeah, you're applying next cycle.
You're applying next cycle if you're following our advice, Isaac. It would be crazy to go into the November test thinking, okay, if I do well enough on this test, then I can apply this cycle. You're already not applying at the beginning of the cycle. You're already applying mid-cycle, which it's not the kiss of death, but it also isn't like great. And you're putting too much pressure on the November test. Then if you take the January test and you're thinking the same thing, like, okay, so now if I do good enough, now I'll be able to apply this cycle. And it's like, no, just don't put that pressure on yourself. Just make the decision now that you're going to exhaust all of your attempts, if necessary, to get the best score you can possibly achieve. And that means that you're not applying until next September. It's less than a year from now. I promise you, it's going to seem like it's just tomorrow that next September gets here.
Yeah, it's so liberating to make that decision. The decision to delay a cycle or to apply a year later, I went through that myself. I remember the feeling of anxiety and discomfort of having to make that decision. But I tell you, like, the day that I made that decision, it just, the burden of that upcoming test became so much less. It is really.
And Erik's not an outlier in this. I mean, we hear from students all the time who say it was a those words exactly. It was liberating, or it was just such a relief when I decided that I was going to apply next cycle. But don't think that means that you can then kick the can down the road on your LSAT prep. I mean, you need to be prepping hard now so that your practice tests can get where you want them. Isaac, for you, I think you want to get those PTs into the high 160s at least. You said 169 or higher. I think 170 something is what you're going to probably need for University of Texas. And even that might not be enough to get into UT. So you need the highest LSAT you can possibly get to try to outweigh your bad undergrad. I'll continue. Isaac's last bullet said 1 year of professional experience as a college advisor, comma, M&A, investment banking, and private equity internships with offer postgraduate, influencing hope to practice corporate law. Okay, perfectly frank, that's not impressive work experience to anybody. Like, people are going to read that and they're going to go, wait, what? So your professional experience is as a college advisor? You did internships in M&A, investment banking, private equity, whatever. I don't know. It doesn't really seem like a real job. The job offer postgraduate is meaningless unless you actually take the job. So I'm looking at this going like, okay, so 1 year of work experience as a college advisor. It's 2023 now, by the way. Graduated in 2021. There's 2 years there. Like, what's Isaac doing, really? Talking about internships feels strange to me because you should have there's 2 years intervene. I don't know. I would be studying for the LSAT, yeah, but I would also be like trying to show career progress.
Yeah.
Anyway, Isaac continues, I'm planning on applying to all the Texas law schools as I hope to practice here in Texas. With that said, is it realistic to apply to any of the lower top 14 schools, which Texas is, right? Or at least they're right outside the top 14.
Mm-hmm.
My sole priority is studying to raise my LSAT, but I am generally scared that I won't be able to get into any law school, not even thinking about scholarships. Oh,
Isaac,
wow.
you're gonna get into law schools. If you apply broadly, you're gonna get into law schools.
And you're going to get scholarship offers to law schools.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about Texas, but let me do like 30 seconds worth of research.
Yeah, I think they have plenty of law schools there.
I'm going to lsatdemon.com/scholarships. I'm going to search the estimator for Texas. So 16th ranked Texas, 26th ranked Texas A&M, 82nd ranked Texas Tech. Let's start there. At 82nd ranked Texas Tech, their median LSAT is 158. Their median GPA is 3.6. So Isaac's already way below that. And the 3.2 is already below the 25th percentile. So a 3.0 is not going to be any different, I don't think, than the 3.2 Isaac already has. So, your GPA sucks. Who cares? Your LSAT, though, you have with the 147 diagnostic, I think there's no question that you're going to blow the doors off of their 75th percentile of 160. So you're going to be, I think, an attractive splitter to them. Their resident tuition is, wow, $22,500 plus $5,000 in fees. Non-resident tuition is $34,000 plus $5,000 in fees. So you're looking at $28,000 as a Texas resident. Scholarships, 83% of the students at the school last year received a grant. 59% of those were getting less than half tuition. We call those scammerships. 21%, though, of those students are getting half to full tuition, and another 3% are getting not only full tuition, but some sort of a stipend or grant or funding from Uncle Sam or who knows what. So there are some people who are paying zero. There's some people who are paying a lot of people, actually, 1 in 5, more than 1 in 5 people are paying somewhere between half and full tuition. And then everybody else is paying, full or close to full, probably. Isaac, I would say Isaac is almost a shoo-in for admission at this school.
Yeah, with a 169, 170.
Oh, God.
I don't see them turning that person away. But that might not be the best outcome for Isaac if they're not getting a great scholarship. I think, what was Isaac's question? Is it realistic to apply to any of the lower T14 schools? it's realistic that you could apply. Is it realistic that you could get in? I think you should be thinking about applying broadly.
That's pretty much says it. I mean, Isaac's trying to make this is real common. Isaac's trying to make decisions about things that he really can't control and shouldn't be trying to make decisions about. Isaac needs to just, dude, apply to like 20 schools. Okay. Apply to every school in Texas, apply to a couple schools in the T14, and then apply to a lot of schools that are outside the T14 and are outside Texas, but are close enough that you could see practicing in Texas, even if you went to law school in those states. So I don't know, Oklahoma or New Mexico.
Arizona's got some schools. Louisiana's got some schools. New Orleans is a cool city. I can't see firms in Texas turning away someone from, I don't know, Tulane or something like that. It seems somewhat reasonable.
Yeah. And
do your research.
If you apply broadly, Isaac, again, best LSAT you can possibly get, apply broadly. Don't limit yourself by not applying to certain schools. If your dream is to go to schools in the top 14, then yeah, throw in those applications. With a with your 3.2 or your 3.0 or whatever it is, I think you're a long shot at every top 14. Who cares? Apply anyway to a couple of those schools. See if they go fishing. Wash U in St. Louis, maybe. You know, they offer lots of scholarships and they are really interested in high LSAT scores. If you showed up with a 174 or something, I could see a school like Wash U being like, okay, we don't care. We don't care about your grades. We care about your LSAT. We care about the horsepower that you've been able to display. And let's do it. You can absolutely go to Wash U in St. Louis and then practice law in Texas. No problem.
Yeah.
You're going to get in, Isaac. You're going to get multiple offers if you follow our advice of applying broadly. If you don't apply broadly, who knows what happens? If you apply narrowly, then you're just like subject to a lot of luck. And
but you are a little bit ahead of yourself until you get that LSAT score. It's sort of like you are on deck in a baseball game. You're like on deck.
Yeah.
And you're asking, I wonder if I can steal third.
Yeah. Right. Once I get to second, should I be considering stealing third? Am I the type of person who could steal third? It's like, well, I don't know, because you're not on base. Let's do that. Yeah, I like that a lot. I wanted to reiterate our IGLAD procedure for how to think about law school admissions. If you're serious about law school admissions, we start with an I, which is investigate. And that means talk to lawyers, figure out what kind of law you think you want to practice, figure out whether that's a realistic, like you actually would like it, instead of just having this like, well, I did one internship in investment banking and now I think I want to practice corporate law. It's like, okay. Do you know what that looks like?
Yeah. Do you know what they do? The day-to-day work of being a corporort lawyer.
Well, I want to be in-house counsel at SpaceX. It's like, okay. Well, first of all, nobody just goes straight into in-house counsel. Everybody has to go into big law first and get a bunch of experience before Elon's going to come trying to hire you to be in-house counsel at SpaceX. Then, what kind of schools do you need to go to in order to get those big law jobs? That's the investigate phase. Okay. And you should really have some kind of a plan. Like, okay, I want to go to law school to practice this kind of law. And I know that I could do that kind of work. And I want to do, like, you just get yourself in that environment. Right. And so, Isaac, your internship at investment banking or private equity or whatever, I would much rather see you have a job at a law firm. Because then you know what legal practice is about. Okay. Investigate has been done. The next thing is IGLAD. Investigate. GPA is next. And Isaac, to be frank, you fucked that part up. If you're serious about being a lawyer, better grades would go a long way. They are really interested in worker bees who are capable of putting up results. And those results, frankly, are pretty shitty for lawyers. And if you look at the 509 reports for pretty much every school, you'll see, oh, wow, not only is 3.2 lower than your median, but it's lower than your 25th percentile. I'm kind of rare in this environment. Almost everybody that I'm going to be competing with kicked my ass in undergrad. So be honest with yourself. What are you going to do differently in law school? Like, what was it that you didn't do in undergrad? Because now you're going to be competing against only the best students from undergrad in law school.
Yeah, law school is school deluxe. It's more school than the school you've previously done.
Yeah, it's harder.
Yeah.
Okay. So get the best GPA you possibly can. And I understand, Isaac, that ship has sailed and, you were a fuck up as an undergrad. So was I. So, you can still rehabilitate your law school dreams. L is the next item up, and LSAT is huge. It's the only thing you can control at this point, Isaac. There's not a lot you can do. You've already graduated from undergrad, so your GPA is pretty much set. You might consider talking to some of those community colleges or whatever to see if those can be removed from those transcripts, because we have had some students get some success with those things. That
or
said,
change to pass fail or something like that.
yeah, but that said, your GPA is already so low anyway that there's no really rehabilitating a GPA that low.
Yeah, you're going to be
There's
below
no point.
everyone's medians.
You're below the median at pretty much every law school. So there's just kind of no point in that. LSAT, though, you can get yourself back in the conversation with a big LSAT, because they're going to look at you and they're going to go, oh, wow, okay, so kind of a fuck up as an undergrad, but a lot of horsepower there, was able to get it done on the LSAT. So maybe this is a diamond in the rough. Once you've got your best LSAT in hand, then you think about applications. And Isaac's trying to do the L and the A at the same time, which, Isaac, maybe that's why your GPA sucked as an undergrad, because you were trying to do too much. You did these internships, you did these on-campus activities, you did all these other things. And meanwhile, the most important thing, which was getting A's, didn't happen. Similar thing is going to happen if you try to work on your applications while you're trying to work on your LSAT. You're not going to get it done because you're going to be too stressed about these applications. You're going to waste time on applications that you should be using for LSAT studying. And that's bad times, which is why we definitely want you to wait till the next cycle, not this cycle, to apply. Once your LSAT is completed, then you can start worrying about your applications. Ideally, next September, you would be applying to 20 schools. Then, over the course of the next very painful 6 months, you're going to be waiting for those results to come in, and they'll trickle in. Some of the schools on your list are going to totally ghost you. Some of the schools are going to waitlist you. Other schools are going to admit you, but not offer you scholarships. Other schools are going to offer you scholarships. And if you're patient and you wait until the last minute on the deposit deadlines, you can then make a sensible decision about not just where to go, but whether to go. But you can only make a good decision if you've done all the other steps on the way there as best you can. That's when you're going to have the best options to choose from. And what are we talking about here? We're looking at apply in September of 2025. So we're looking at you making that decision in the spring of 2026, maybe even the summer of 2026, before you make your final decision about where you're going to go. But it needs to be the right school at the right price that's going to actually get you the kind of job that you want. And if not, then you should just decline all offers and see what good things might happen to you that don't involve law school.
Or take more time to improve the LSAT again, or re-examine some of your other application elements and try again the next year.
If you don't get the offers you want, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But really, if you do get the right LSAT, and if you apply broadly enough, and if you apply early in the cycle, you should be pretty immune to some cycles being more competitive and other cycles being less competitive. And, if you do it the right way once with a broad enough application and really the best LSAT you can possibly get, then I think you're going to have enough data to decide, okay, is this something I want to do or not? And then I agree, Eric, that if you then realize I can't sleep at night because I'm not practicing law, you could always reapply after that. But I guess
those are years down the road for Isaac. Let's focus on the LSAT first.
And this is a million words to say something that we could have said, very briefly, which is
sure.
Get your best LSAT, Isaac. Apply very broadly next September. Then make decisions about what types of school. The random speculating about whether I have any chance or whatever. It's a waste of time. You do have chances, but you can get yourself, you can attempt to exercise, you can take those chances, right? By applying to all of those schools. It's like, we don't know what's you have to scratch off the thing.
Yeah.
And the only way you do that is by applying broadly to give yourself lots of different chances of getting good offers.
Totally. Thanks, Isaac. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.